ASTM C143 Standard Test Method for Slump of Hydraulic Cement Concrete.
As a measure of consistency, the slump test is the most subjective test of all the tests required by the ACI Level 1 certification. With an allowed time limit to lift the cone of 3 to 7 seconds, slumps can vary from operator to operator. Measuring to the displaced original center can also be somewhat subjective depending on how the concrete settles once the slump cone is raised. Slumps can be influenced by water addition, admixture, time, temperature, mix designs, mixing time, and aggregate shape. It is critical that the slump be taken on a moist, rigid, flat, level surface from a representative composite sample. It is also important to be as consistent as possible when running the test. The procedures for the standard are as follows.
1. Dampen the interior of the slump mold. 2. Place the mold on a flat, moist, non-absorbent, and rigid surface. 3. Hold the mold firmly in place by standing on the 2 foot pieces on either side of the mold. A base plate with clamps is also acceptable. 4. Fill the mold in 3 layers. For the first layer, fill the mold to approximately 1/3 of its volume, 2 5/8 inches, or 70 millimeters. Then rod the layer 25 times throughout its depth. Uniformly distribute the strokes over the cross-section of the layer. Incline the rod slightly, starting near the perimeter, and progress spirally toward the center. 5. Fill the mold to approximately 2/3 of its volume, approximately 6 1/8 inch, or 160 millimeters. Then rod the layer 25 times throughout its depth. Uniformly distribute the strokes over the cross-section of the layer. 6. For the third layer, heap concrete above the top of the mold. Then rod the layer 25 times throughout its depth, just penetrating into the second layer. Uniformly distribute the strokes over the cross-section of the layer. Should rotting result in the concrete falling below the top of the mold, add concrete to keep an excess above the mold. Continue the rotting count from the value reached before the concrete was added to the mold. 7. Strike off the top surface of concrete with the tamping rod in a screeding and rolling motion. 8. While maintaining downward pressure, remove any concrete which collected around the base of the mold during strike-off. 9. Immediately remove the mold by raising the mold in a steady vertical direction. There should be no lateral or torsional motion of the mold while lifting. Lift the mold off the concrete a distance of 12 inches, or 300 millimeters, in 5 ± 2 seconds. 10. Complete the slump test from the start of filling the mold through the removal of the mold in 2.5 minutes. 11. If a decided falling away or shearing off of concrete from one side or portion of the mass occurs, disregard the test and make a new test on another portion of the sample. 12. Immediately measure the slump. This is the vertical distance between the top of the mold and the displaced original center of the top surface of the specimen. 13. Report the slump to the nearest 1/4 inch, or 5 millimeters.